Welcome to The Explainer, and a special welcome to Focus Me for our Research Insights segment. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating paper that tackles a question we've all probably faced, that little pang of guilt when we throw away food. The researchers behind it ask a simple question. If we feel so bad about wasting food, why do we still waste so much of it? They argue we've been missing a key piece of the puzzle, and that feeling bad might not actually be the answer. To get a sense of the scale here, just picture this for a second. Imagine you're on a massive cruise ship. Well, according to the research, a staggering 30% of the food on board might just end up as waste. That's almost a third of everything, just tossed out. And that really brings us to the core puzzle, doesn't it? We all know wasting food is wrong. It often makes us feel pretty bad. So what's the deal? What's the disconnect between our feelings and our actions? Why do we keep on doing it? Well, it turns out this 2024 study has a really surprising answer. It dives deep into the psychology of food waste, specifically with tourists, and it uncovers this key emotion that, honestly, most of us have probably been completely overlooking. Okay, let's get into it. So the study kicks things off by looking at the two usual suspects, the two negative emotions we almost always associate with waste: guilt and regret. These are the feelings that ad campaigns often try to trigger to get us to change our ways. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. The researchers draw a super important line in the sand between these two feelings. Guilt, they say, comes from an intentional action. Think about consciously overfilling your plate at a buffet, even though you know you can't finish it. Regret, on the other hand, is for something unintentional. When your eyes were just bigger than your stomach and you accidentally took too much. But here's where the study totally flips the script. The researchers found that just making people feel guilty or regretful, it's not the solution. On their own, these feelings just don't create lasting change. So if these powerful, negative emotions aren't enough to get the job done, what in the world is missing? And that leads us to the study's big reveal. The secret ingredient isn't another negative feeling. It's a positive one: hope. And the study defines hope in a very specific and very powerful way. This isn't just wishful thinking. No, it's a potent combination of two key things: having the willpower, that's the motivation to change, and seeing a clear pathway, an actual action plan to make it happen. And this car analogy illustrates the whole process brilliantly. Think of it like this. Guilt and regret are just the warning lights on your dashboard. They flash and they beep, telling you something's wrong, but they don't tell you how to fix it. Hope is the GPS. It activates when that light comes on and gives you a new route, a clear, actionable plan to get where you want to go. But get this, here's a fascinating twist in the research. It turns out that regret, that feeling you get from an unintentional mistake, is a really strong predictor of hope. But guilt, from an intentional act, the study didn't find that same strong link. It seems that regret focuses on a specific behavior you can change, which makes you hopeful. But guilt can feel more like a judgment on your character, which can cause you to shut down instead of act. So how does this whole emotional cocktail actually play out in the real world? Well, the study identified 4 distinct tourist profiles, each with their own unique mix of these feelings. First up, we have the conscious tourist. This person gets it. They know waste is bad, they understand the costs and the harm, and they feel guilt over their actions. But here's the key. They are stuck. They are missing that crucial ingredient of hope. They don't see a clear path to change their behavior, so they just keep feeling bad about it. Next up is the harmless tourist. Now, this person is more focused on the personal cost to themselves. When they accidentally waste food, they feel regret. And remember, regret is what sparks hope. So they think, I can do better next time, and they see a clear path to doing just that. Then there's the moral tourist. This is kind of the whole package. They care more about the harm that waste causes to others and to society. They experience the full emotional spectrum: guilt, regret, and most importantly, that actionable hope that actually drives them to change their ways. And finally, we have the thrifty tourist. For this person, the motivation is simple, direct, and really powerful. They just do not want to waste their own money. It all comes down to the personal financial hit. End of story. This table just summarizes it all perfectly. You can really see how all these different emotional ingredients, cost, harm, guilt, regret, and hope, all combine to create these 4 unique mindsets. It's pretty cool to see it all broken down like this. So what's the big takeaway from all of this incredible research? What does it all mean? And why does understanding these different types of tourists actually matter in the real world? Well, the bottom line is this. Any successful campaign to reduce waste shouldn't just focus on making people feel guilty or afraid. The real goal, the game changer, is to inspire hope, to show people that change is absolutely possible, and then give them the tools to do it. In practice, this means a big shift. The study suggests that instead of negative commands like "don't waste food," hotels and resorts should use positive, hope-inspiring messages. Things like planning your meals helps reduce waste, or using collective messaging like "together we can reduce food waste." It's all about empowerment, not shame. And that leaves us with a final thought for ourselves. The next time you're faced with a choice about waste, what's going to be your main emotion? Will it be the dead end of guilt, the little spark of regret, or the actionable power of hope? A huge thanks to our researchers for developing such great work. And thanks to everyone for listening and expanding your minds with Focus Me. Thank you.